Hi, I'm Diana Montford, the world's first transgender television journalist. Born male, became female. If I say that one more time, I'm going to scream. But anyway, I say it on every show. People say, what direction are you going in? Excuse me. So, my guests are the great daytime drama actress, Ms. Ilene Kristen, who is famous for playing Delia on Ryan's Hope, and Roxy Balsam on One Life to Live. And my other guest is the great show business author, Mr. Tom Lisanti. He has written many books, but right now we're showing Texas, an oral history of daytime TV's answer to Dallas, and an oral history of Ryan's Hope. You can get both on Amazon, at Barnes & Noble, in many venues, and you should, because these are fascinating books. Whether you were a fan of these two soaps or not, you will find out how soaps are produced, how the day-to-day of it, anecdotes, interviews with cast members, crew, the whole thing. And these are fascinating books, and they're a great addition to anyone's show business library. Anyway, Elaine, tell us about yourself.
Well, let's see. I was born in Brooklyn, on East 17th Street and Newkirk Avenue. And my mother had grown up in that apartment, and it was one of these really kind of great two-bedroom apartments with the step-down living room. Mm-hmm. And my father was a hairdresser, and he had a beauty parlor called Beauty on a Budget on Flatbush Avenue. And it was known in the neighborhood because my father had taken a huge piece of driftwood from where we had this house in Atlantic Beach, which was the beginning of Long Beach. And he found this huge piece of driftwood, and he put it up above Beauty on a Budget. It was, on Flatbush Avenue. Yeah. And it was a very idyllic place, actually. Sure. I used to go bike riding, and nobody would bother me, and it felt
it was a whole other
pretty
time.
Pretty safe. And I'd go to theater. My parents took me to theater very early on. I have a sister, wonderful sister, and we went to the theater and we went to the movies all the time. So I feel like I was kind of in show business very early on, because my first job, when I was 9 years old, I was a very good Latin dancer. So we belonged to this beach club called the Atlantic Beach Hotel in Atlantic Beach, and I showed talent for the cha-cha, the mambo, and what was called the pachanga. And this dance teacher there put me with two 30-year-old Cubans, and it was a group called Vaya.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Life. I think Viva or Vaya or something like that. Life.
Vaya sort of means do it.
Yeah. So I started off rather early, didn't get my first professional job till I was 14, but I was gearing up for it. You know, I was really gearing up for it.
Well, your father being a hairdresser, he's in show business.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And, you know, he had very interesting clients in Brooklyn. Actually, just very interesting. There were a lot of interesting people in Brooklyn.
If I saw Beauty on a Budget, I would think that's perfect for me, because I am on a budget, and I would go to that place.
Yes. He had a big clientele. He really did.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Then he ended up having a store on 64th and 2nd for many, many years.
What did he sell?
He sold himself as a hairdresser. It was another beauty parlor.
Ah.
No, beauty parlor. My father literally was doing hair until he was 80-something years old.
God bless him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, it was he always lied and said he was younger, but they could tell. When he was on his feet, he was fine. It was in between, you know, when he didn't have his own store and he worked at a store in Florida, when they'd sit him down, they'd go, "Arthur, your next customer," and because he was already like 84 years old.
But, so now you went to a professional children's school.
Yes, I did. When I got that job on the Bell Telephone Hour.
Well, now, Can you quickly tell us
Yes,
about that?
Matt Maddox was my jazz teacher, and he was choreographing the Bell Telephone Hour, which was a spectacular show that was on
It
once
was
a month.
huge. It was absolutely
You
huge.
know, and this was the holiday show, the Thanksgiving holiday
Wow.
show, and Robert Young was the host,
Ooh.
and a singer, John Gary, and Carol Lawrence was on it from West Side Story.
Yes. And John Gary, I had a crush on him,
Oh,
too.
he was great.
I had a crush on
He was
everybody.
really a wonderful singer. So I was there as a little dancer. And it was just it was scary because it was 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we had to do this thing where we went down a slide and had to go into a cartwheel, and I never had done a cartwheel before this job. In rehearsal, I kind of learned, and I did the job, and then I have never done a cartwheel since. Cause
Sort of like algebra. Who uses it?
yeah, who uses it? Yeah. Yeah, a cartwheel could have helped me with a couple of things. When I played Patty Simcox, the cheerleader, on in Greece, I could have used a cartwheel every once in a while, but I couldn't do one. So.
And you originated that part.
I did, and it was interesting because where I grew up in Brooklyn, I always say the shtetl that I grew up in Brooklyn, there were no cheerleaders there. Really, I didn't know any cheerleaders.
New York is not big on cheerleaders.
No,
you know?
no, not at all. Not
we
at
don't
my
do
public
cheerleaders,
school.
no.
No. And I was a beatnik. I was a complete beatnik as a kid.
That is so cool.
I was really a beatnik. I liked jazz. I liked, the singer Kay Thompson, who
Sure.
was,
Yeah.
Funny Face was my favorite movie, and the character,
Pink.
yeah, and she does that whole jazz.
I
thing
love that, yes.
in the cavern, and
Yes.
that was what I wanted to do, and I kind of can do a little of that jazz thing that she does, but I thought she was spectacular. So
Everyone did.
Yeah.
That's why she was Audrey Hepburn.
yeah, Audrey Hepburn, Fred Astaire.
Kay Thompson was great, too.
Oh, Kate Thompson, that was the one. I mean, she had been with the Andy Williams brothers, the Williams brothers, which Andy Williams was a
Right.
part of, and they were a sensation.
Yeah. And he dubbed Lauren Bacall in To Have and Have Not, where she sings at the end. Some of those notes are Andy Williams.
I'll bet. So it was a real show business childhood, and so when I got Grease, though, I had a feeling I was going to get it because I could Lindy Hop, and I really was good. I was kind of fearless with that. And in the audition, the guy that was playing Eugene, the square,
Right.
they put us together. I'm 5 feet tall. He's like 6 foot tall, and we looked beautifully ridiculous together. And I said to him, "I want you to throw me up in the air, spread your legs, and I'll go under." He goes,
That's so 40s. I love it.
and I went, "We're going to get this show if you do this. I can almost guarantee you." And I was right. He got it too.
That's
Oh,
great.
wow.
And
Yeah.
he must thank you forevermore.
He passed away, sadly.
Yeah.
But we were close. We were good friends,
Yeah.
you know.
You have had a brilliant career, and people out there watching would love to have you. I would love to have your career. Tom would love to. We'd all love to have your career. How do you get that? Is it luck? What is it?
It's luck. Sometimes it's, for me, I found a way to be kind of pretty sexy and funny,
Right.
and I loved comedy, so.
And you have a real talent for
I
it.
do.
Yeah.
I have to say, I do, and I think it gave me something special. I think it gave me.
Your story, how you got Delia, is luck.
Yeah. Well, I made the guy come over and rehearse with me, and he was a little arrogant, the guy that I was doing my screen test with. And,
Don't you hate that?
well, a little, but I made him come over like a bunch to rehearse. So we went in there, guns blazing. And I was wearing this white shirt. And during my screen test, a button flew off.
You got
And
the
I
part,
kept on
honey.
going,
Yeah.
kept on going, and Claire went, "That's Delia."
That's because you knew stage had taught you not to cut. Oh,
No,
help,
there I was, And but I had never done a soap, so it was, scary. I'm not going to say it wasn't scary. It was
What was scary about it?
many things. First of all, the amount of lines that you had, and the short amount of time that you had to rehearse them.
Did the fact that it was seen by millions upon millions sort of
Scary.
intimidate?
It was scary. Also, because I was used to doing stage, I was used to doing things a little bit bigger. But so I took it back down. But our director, Leela Swift, wanted things.
Oh, she's fabulous.
She was great, but she could be like, bigger. I want more. So sometimes
She did Dark Shadows too.
Yes, she did. So sometimes she pushed
Yes.
you in an area that you really didn't quite want to go to that level, because it was like doing a stage performance, but for camera. And I felt my first week was a little bit big.
But isn't Delia a big
Yes,
person?
absolutely. And also, Delia was going through the revolving door of hell at the time. She had pushed her husband down a flight of steps, and nobody knew that except for her. And she was traumatized by that she had lost such control, and she was so insecure. And she came from a very impoverished background. I think there was a lot of alcoholism in her family, and there was no money. And the Ryans always symbolized stability to her.
Yeah,
So
sure.
she was going to get in that family no matter what. She was going to marry somebody, and I think she really wanted to marry Pat.
Yes.
That's who she really wanted
But
to
she
be
had
with.
to settle for the other
She had
brothers.
to settle for the other brother. But once she had him, she didn't want to lose him. And then in the beginning of the show, Frank was having an affair with
Jill, right.
who was highly educated, very beautiful, and
Made Delia feel really insecure. And
totally insecure.
Yeah.
As did Mary Ryan, made me feel insecure too. Everybody made Delia feel
Well, she
insecure.
was sort of a Marilyn,
Yes, but I really love the character.
Harder than Marilyn, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, but it was very difficult because, first of all, when I was doing Grease, I didn't want people to think I was a goody two-shoes. So that was strange, playing this character, because I was this beat chick. I was this like...
You weren't lousy with virginity.
I was this jazz chick, hairdresser's daughter chick. And all of a sudden I'm playing like this goody two-shoes. In fact, one of my lines was, goodness gracious. I swear to God, in Brooklyn, you never heard the expression.
We never heard it in
"goodness
Manhattan
gracious,"
either.
ever. So it was like, goodness gracious.
But then we don't have any cheerleaders.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then playing Delia, I was kind of very together, like happy-go-lucky kind of person, and I'm playing this desperate child woman, desperate. And it was so different from who I was.
Well,
so
thank
you have
God.
to dig really deep in.
The real Delias don't wind up on soap operas. They screw up. They wind up living under a bridge with a needle in their arm.
Exactly.
Well, for my interviewing with my book, the creators were very surprised that they thought the fan base would be all behind her husband Frank and the girlfriend Jill to get together, but half the audience was rooting
'Cause
for
they
the
identified.
party with Delia, and Helen Gallagher, who played Maeve, said it's because Eileen had heart, and that's what's shown through the screen, and got
sadly,
people.
Delia's life mirrors all too many lives out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh no, it spoke to a lot of people.
Yeah.
It really did. I mean, it was an amazing experience to work on that show.
Yeah.
To work with Helen Gallagher. I don't think there's anything better than that, actually. I can say in my whole career, she was a real true north. It was helpful to me because she was really there for me, because she knew I had a lot of dialogue, and it was, and she
40
was
pages a day.
yeah,
isn't
and
it?
she was a hoofer, but like a hoofer to the nth degree, and I was I had been a hoofer myself.
Right,
I
sure.
started off as a dancer. I mean, she was really a dancer. I kind of called myself a dancer and knew that by 18 years old, I could not call myself a dancer.
Well, yeah, because,
Yeah.
it has to be a religion with you or you're not a
Yeah.
dancer.
And also, you have a short life. You have a short
My
life.
mother
as a
was,
dancer.
and she retired at 27
Yeah.
from dancing.
Yeah. So,
And that was pushing it.
I made the right,
Oh,
choice.
boy, did you ever.
Yeah.
I think history has borne that out.
Yeah, thank you.
But, yeah, and now let's talk about Roxy.
Oh, yes.
Roxy is, to me, a sort of a Harlow character in a sense.
I loved Roxy.
know?
Yes.
I got the character. I found out that I got the job the day before 9/11. And then the next day, I know that they wanted to negotiate with me, but the events of the day were so shocking that I told my agent, I said, no, we will not be speaking to them at all this week. Because I really, literally, they could have had me for like no money. I would have gone, yeah, I'll come back for scale. I just was so shocked by the events.
Sure.
And I was thinking, what does acting really mean in a culture like this that 2 buildings can come down? I mean,
It takes people's minds off them.
yes. And I went back to work. It was really interesting. I went back to work on Yom Kippur. And I was the only Jew in the room. It was so funny. It was like, they said, I didn't even realize that was what the day was, but it was so funny. And but I knew I was in the right place. And Erica Slezak was so good to me.
She was lovely.
She was so good to me. The script for that first day of Roxy was so brilliant.
Yes. They had you in black, all black, right?
Well, no,
Yeah.
I was wearing my own jeans, and I had on a black top probably, but I brought everything from home.
Oh, wow.
And my jeans were like ripped and
No, but that's very
yeah,
smart.
it was smart. I was going to bring my own clothing
Right. And create the style.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did. And they let me, and they welcomed it. And I said, I'm going to entertain the troops because they need it. And I was in the zone, and I was in the zone for 10 years. Even sometimes, the storyline would dip, and it didn't sometimes go where it really could have gone. I didn't care. I was like, I'm going to do a great job anyway.
Sure.
Fuck
You have
y'all.
to, yeah. In a sense, Roxy's sort of very different from Delia because Delia was determined.
Yes.
Yes.
And smart in her own way.
Yes.
But Roxy seems a more stable human being somehow.
I don't know. Well, I don't know if she was stable, but she was very set in knowing what she needed to do, whereas Delia was always looking for answers in all the wrong places.
And thought everyone else had the
and
answers.
men, and would find it in men, where Roxy was
But
like,
weren't we all like that when we were younger? Come on.
Yeah, well.
We were all conditioned to think men know everything. And then you find out they're afraid
I
and
was
they
lucky.
don't know.
My father knew a lot, so it was like,
Yeah, but have you noticed how afraid men are?
Hmm?
How afraid men are of a lot of things.
Yes, absolutely.
And in a lot of cases, they're looking for a mother.
Yes, that could be true. And I've been with some men who were definitely looking for something.
I was shocked to find I was so much stronger and maybe smarter than some men I've known. Like really shocked. Like,
first of
how
all,
is this possible?
men are big babies with pain or any kind
Yes.
of cold or
Yes, I'll
sickness
vouch for
or the
that.
flu, or they're babies. Women are much stronger
Well,
in
just
that
menstruation will make you a toughie, you know?
Yeah. Definitely. And, but I love men.
I do too.
Yeah.
But
So
good for you.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, you've had a partner now for how long?
26 years.
There you go. Are you married?
No, but I'm with Gary Donatelli. It's as good as being married. He was one of the directors on One Life to Live.
Oh, great. Oh, great.
And I've known him since 1978. Just knew him as a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just the most magnificent man I've ever met.
Hear that, Gary? You picked a winner here. She's a winner.
Thank
She's
you.
a keeper.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, have you ever been married?
No, I've been engaged many times and wisely gone like, I'm not marrying this person.
Mm-hmm.
No, which is funny because my parents had a very good marriage, but marriage is, I kind of knew I didn't want kids. I have a group of they're not kids anymore. They're in their 40s. That call me mom. I ran a arts program at the Prince George Hotel,
You
which
did a
was
wonderful
homeless.
thing. You put some of those kids on your show.
I did.
Yes.
I did, but thanks to Claire Labine.
Right, all right.
But yeah, yes, and these kids are very special to me, and I'm in touch with, I'd say, 3 or 4 of them, and they mean a lot to me.
Well,
But I just never really wanted kids of my own. I'm not really sure why. You know, maybe if I had been with someone like Gary, who I thought would have made a good father, but I was with some characters, and they'd all
Welcome
want to
to the
have
club.
kids, and I went like, and where are you going to be when I'm taking care of these kids?
Well, I'm the
you know?
man.
Yeah, I'll be acting in a movie
Oh, no,
somewhere
honey, you can't act
across
when you
the
have
world.
kids.
Yeah,
Go
yeah,
cook dinner. Forget acting. That's
Yeah.
over.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but One Life to Live was a gift. It was, I was so happy there. I was almost sadder when that show went off the air than Ryan's Hope for some reason. I don't know why, except that.
Well, maybe the traumatic circumstances at the beginning, you know.
Yeah, yeah, and I love the group. I love the Ryan's Hope people, and I love the One Life to Live people. Now I had done Loving. In between all that, I did that for a year, and I was very lucky because I worked with Walter Bobby, who I had done Grease with, and he played my boyfriend. He played twins. He played the ne'er-do-well brother and the good brother.
I love all
and,
these
yeah.
plots. Or he was lost in a plane over South America.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
comes back later.
Yeah, so I had a great time on Loving, and then that ended, kind of fizzed out. But I loved doing a soap because you really got to create these great characters
Exactly,
that
yeah.
sometimes you can't do in other mediums. You know, you're there with like 10 lines. Like I've done some nighttime stuff, but I have to say that the daytime stuff was much more creative.
And they're like your family, the audience members.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's a very thin veil between the soap opera audience and the actual audience at home. I don't know. It's like they're very connected to you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they will leave their daughters in labor to go watch you, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I think you had good writers on One Life to Live in Ryan's Hope that were able to take Delia and Roxy, and as you just kept playing it, they realistically changed, but for the audience,
Yeah.
they were written so well. Delia from 1975 was a totally different Delia from 1988.
Yeah, yeah.
And same
Yeah,
thing with
but-
Roxy. When Roxy first came in, she
Right,
was really...
yeah.
But that's perfect
Yeah, it's
because
perfect.
people do evolve.
Right,
Yes, they
evolved,
do.
Yes.
And Roxy did evolve.
Yeah, she did. Foxy Roxy.
Yeah. It was a very interesting experience, and it was very sad when we ended.
Yeah.
And
Now they're not even on the internet. They used to be, they switched over to the internet, and now not even that, right?
Well, that show didn't fly.
Yeah.
That internet show. They did it for how long? Like 6 months. or
Yeah,
something.
6 months.
Gary directed a lot of the episodes of that, but he said it was really working under duress. It
Much reduced budget, all sorts of things.
There was a budget. They were wasting money on a lot of stuff, and they would be building the sets like a half an hour before you had to use that set. So that's
No
no
blocking,
way.
yeah.
That's no way to work.
No.
That is no way to work. And they were inexperienced. The people. Rich Frank has a lot of experience in the sitcom world. But he doesn't really have that much experience in the daytime world. And this other guy, Jeff Quanton.
What are your plans for the future, though, since we're almost out of time?
Well, I am executive producing a documentary about the federal workers who have been
Good God
illegally
Almighty,
fired.
horrible, horrible.
So my best buddy, Rebecca Camisa, who was an Oscar-nominated...
Rebecca Shirt, her name is.
What?
Camisa means shirt.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. So she's been shooting, and wow. So I'm doing that, and I plan to be doing some music and whatever acting stuff comes up. But I don't know. Sometimes reality is more interesting. Than,
God knows this reality
Yeah.
that we're living in now.
Yeah.
Now, you
yeah.
all live in interesting times.
Yeah,
I
exactly. Thanks,
Anyway.
Chinese.
do. My guests have been the great actress Ms. Ilene Kristen. You've seen her in a lot of things, actually. She has created characters who are indelible, who will be remembered for a very long time to come. And she also does cabaret, so look for her to do cabaret. Go see her show, which is great. Wait for a documentary. My other guest has been Mr. Tom Lisanti, great show business author, superlative show business author, who has some new books out. Texas, an oral history of daytime TV's answer to Dallas, and an oral history of Ryan's Hope. And as you know, Ilene was the star, one of the stars, let's be fair, but certainly one of the more charismatic stars of Ryan's Hope.
And she wrote the foreword.
And she wrote the foreword. Mm-hmm. And of course, you've also seen her as Roxy Balsam on One Life to Live. And what can I say? I'm honored and thrilled that you were both here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. And hopefully, I guess you're going to put these on YouTube?
Yes, for sure.
And you can either watch them on this station or see them on YouTube. And this goes, in 1991, I interviewed Quentin Crisp. This is a keeper like that one.
Oh,
so anyway, and I look better now. No big shoulder pads, no huge earrings. Yeah. Anyway, I'm Diana Montford. This has been the Diana Montford Show. Hey, even if no one else loves you, I love you. You know I do. And I'll see you next time. Take good care of yourself. Bye.